Mhm. Let me know when my screen is visible.
We can see your screen now.
सेल्सफोर्स की भी थी मैंने ऐसी ज्वाइन कर ली डेवलपमेंट तब सेल्सफोर्स का
Uh, I'm hearing some background noise.
Yeah, Sneha, I've muted all of them. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let me just present. So, hello everyone. Uh, I hope everyone is fine, and we are continuing our next session for the Salesforce development training. In this session, we are going to talk about. Let's go with introduction. My name is Sneh Dengana. I'm a Salesforce developer with 2 years of experience. Currently, I'm working in a company in Dubai, naming Cool Idea. Next, we have Rimsha and Mustafa. They are experienced Salesforce developers and architect, working in their respective companies, Folio 3 and Motive. So let's start with our topics. We are going to discuss two topics in this presentation: is LWC Lifecycle Hooks, and then we have Decorators. So let's start with LWC Lifecycle Hooks. So there are four lifecycle hooks that are currently we have in LWC. So the first one is the constructor. So as soon as the LWC is created, the first function, that first method that's run is the constructor. Then for the constructor you can easily initialize any property, any variable that you want to initialize in the beginning before the other constructors. So before the other function runs. So you can also add any add any value to any element of your HTML so that it initializes before the other methods. Then we have connected callback and disconnected callback. Connected callback is the method then when a component is actually inserted into a DOM. DOM is actual document object model, which is rendered into our whole web page. So it runs is this method runs when your LWC is inserted in your DOM. So in this method, you can easily initialize your different methods. You can get data from the Apex. You can also do API callouts. Or you can also subscribe to a LMS channel, Lightning Message channel, as well as you can also use a third-party JavaScript library. And disconnected callback is to clean up all the resources when the component is actually removed from the DOM. When you actually either refresh your page or you go to a different LWC, call a different LWC. If you want to destroy that previous LWC, then this disconnected callback will be used. Then we have rendered callback. So rendered callback is like when the component is completed its rendering, the whole the HTML, then you can call your extra logic in this function. This is mostly used for third-party libraries that we use from the JavaScript, so that every time you make any change in any property of that HTML or any template expression, so that it re-renders the logic that you write in the rendered callback. It re-renders and your HTML updates automatically. Then we have error callback. So this method is for error handling. It easily handles all the error from parent and its child, so that you can easily manage errors and display them or log them in your respective systems. Let's check out the let's lifecycle flow, that how these run in actual LWC page. So here is the flow. Sorry, I couldn't copy this and paste it in the slide. This was a very long flow. So as soon as the LWC creates, this green circle is you can imagine it as a LWC is getting created. So first one that you can see here is the constructor on the parent. It's being called parent, mean the parent LWC. Imagine there are two LWCs. One is the parent and the other is child. So constructor will be called first on the parent. Then we have the properties, any public property that is exposed by a underscore API. So first that will be updated if there is an update in that value. Then the LWC will be inserted into the DOM parent LWC. Then the connected callback will be called. Your logic, that whatever the logic running is in the connected callback, that will run. Then as soon as the rendering of the parent LWC is complete, if there is a child LWC, that will be called. And every LWC is a class basically, and every instance that has called have its own constructor. Then its constructor will run same flow as the parent, as the every LWC constructor. Then public properties update. Then the actual child will be inserted in the DOM. Connected to callback of the child will run. Then child rendering will complete. I explained the rendered callback. So the rendered callback flow runs from child to parent. So first, if any LWC has a child LWC, first the rendered callback will of the child will run. Then, as soon as the parent, this cycle ends here, then the rendered callback of the parent run. So in the end, the LWC will be inserted in the DOM and all the operations will be completed. So in the last we have a disconnected callback. When the parent is removed from the DOM, either by refreshing page or if you are doing it by any custom logic or you are going to another page. So when the LWC is removed from the DOM, if you have added this disconnected callback in your LWC, then you can easily refresh or restore all the resources that you have used. By resources mean variables, functions. You can easily clear them out to the from the memory. Disconnected callback. So the flow of the disconnected callback is true from the parent to child. So the first disconnected callback of the parent will run, then the disconnected callback of the child will run. Child will be removed from the DOM, then the disconnected of the child will be called. Any questions so far?
No, Islam, there is no question.
Okay. Let me just, I think I can give you a demo on these. Let me just show you. We have, so for connected callback, uh, yes, this one. Uh, Here you can see there is a LWC called Apex imperative method. So I'm going to use a connected callback to first load a function that will get some context from my org. And if I click on this button, it will also do the same thing. So in the beginning, it is also initializing all getting the get data from the Apex. So let me just show you how this is working. So as you can see here, I have created a normal variable contact and the error. Then we have a function handle load. And this function, what is it doing? It is getting some context from, and there is Apex controller method, and it is getting context and assigning it to the context variable. And this handle load method is also being called from a lightning button. Load contacts on click handler, then we have handle load. So what I'm doing is when I click on the load handle, the contact will be get from the Apex, then would be displayed on the UI. But this method is also being called in the connected callback. So in the beginning, I don't have to click on this. We will get the context by default because I have called it in the connected callback. In this connected callback, you can also initialize different variables and use them in your uh, this HTML template as a template expressions. You can also describe properties and update them in the connected callback or even add conditions on them. So if I just create a new contact here, so I'll click on the load contact, it will update the contact list. me just create a new contact here. Mm, so test. Let's go to test is already there. Let me just change its name. Mm, load. I think this has some limit on its query. Uh, contact controller. Where is the contact controller? Here it is. Get contact list. Yeah, there's a limit. Let's uh, change this limit to 20. Then deploy. Now this component has retrieved the test123 by default, which was called in the connected callback. So that's how connected callback runs when the LWC is inserted into DOM. It will run whatever the method you have called or whatever other logic you have described in it. Then we can go for, I think we can go for rendered callback. So as I told, discussed earlier, that rendered callback is mostly used in third party as use of the third party libraries. So let me just show you our third party library usage. Here is the rendered callback. So in this LWC, there is a third party library called chart.js, which is being pulled from the resource URL, mean the static resource, and we are loading it in the rendered callback. We use a load script, a synchronous process to render the script and uh, use it in the next promise and use its properties to use the component. Then this rendered call, what this rendered callback does, if any property of this script or any variable that is being used in the rendered callback, if this is changed in different method, in other methods like connected callback, in any other different component or different method, on click of a button, let's say I want to refresh, so this rendered call will be called again. Connected callback only called once when the LWC inserted into the DOM. Then rendered callback number of execution is dependent on how many changes are being done in the properties, or even the uh, variables that are being used in the rendered callback. So it re-renders and the UI will be re-rendered. Rendered callback is also mostly used to update the UI when you have different config properties in the LWC. If you have any different config property here that you want to, let's say I have a related list, custom related list. So I want to describe that on the number of rows, I want to add a scroll. So I have added my custom code in the JavaScript, and I'm adding a logic. Let's say if there are 4 records in my related list, there should be a scroll. So I will add all the logic of that in the rendered callback, so that when the records will change, the UI rendering will be happening in the rendered callback, so that it can re-render the UI when the records are being created. But now for the disconnected callback, it's pretty simple that you can easily describe a disconnected callback to clean up the variables that you have. So let's say I have some variables here, so I can easily clean these in the disconnected callback by calling them and initializing them by an undefined or any empty string. So that's so far. Let's go to the next topic. If anyone have any questions so far.
Nope, we are good, Sneh.
Okay. So the next one is the decorators in LWC. So there are currently 3 decorators. There is one @API, which actually exposes the property to parent component, as well as you can also use these in LWC config. You can also add targets and use these public properties to get the config from LWC initialization. So I'll show you how this is done. And then we have track actually is a decorator. When you add this track decorator to the any object or object variable or any array variable, that variable becomes reactive. Reactive means that any changes that is made in the after, let's say you are having any logic, you are writing any, you are updating that object or even that array. So it, what is done is track the changes. If the array is updated, then the, if it this array is used in the HTML, the HTML re-renders that section. So let's say we have a array of contacts. So what this array of object. So any change is happening in the contact or the array, when you get the change from the apex, so it will update the your variable in local variable if there is a track decorator on it. So what will it does? It will update your HTML UI by its own. So that's why it's called reactive. So it reacts and it re-renders the whole your HTML, so to get the latest data on your HTML. Then we have wire. So wire is used for wire is another method for calling apex methods. There is one, we have imperative method, you can easily directly call your method. Then we have wire. Wire actually fetches the data from Salesforce and binds it in the LWC. Wire can have different, let me just show you the code, what will be better. Then we have API. Let's go to any API. um, we can use this one. Hmm. I think this one is being called in parent. Let's go to the parent. P, yes, parent. So in this LWC, what we are doing, we have a handler on handle click. What this does is actually calling up child's function handle value change. And there is a lightning button in its LWC, which is just a button, and then it's calling a child component. So let me just check where this is on the UI. I think this must be from the parent to child. What was the name of that button? Submit. So this is not on this one. I think we can look at a different, let me just edit page. Yes, we can look at this one. Apex static schema. Yes, this one. So let me just, I think this is the one which is using the custom label. No, this is not the one. Yes, we can look at this one. Event simple. Yes. So in this LWC, we have a basic page variable being used in this HTML. Then we have a child component as paginator, which have two different buttons and hand events. Then we have two basic events, which is one is decrementing the page number, another one is incrementing the page number, and we have initialized the page number to 1. Let just go to the paginator component. which is a child component. So in that component, there would be some variables which will be exposed. Let me just, where is this one? I don't think they have any property exposed. Let's check this one. Event with data, contact list item, the child component. Here it is. So this is a child component that is getting the contact from its parent. So now this variable of contact is actually publicly exposed so that its parent can easily use it. So now let me just get to the event, the parent component. We can also see the wire method and you being used in it. There is a apex method which is getting the getting the context. And what we are doing, we are using a wire method to call it. You can also do a imperative method call out, but there is a difference between wire and imperative. That wire method runs on its own. You don't have to call it except specifically from any other connected callback or reconnected rendered callback. Wire methods run on its own. It also runs before the connected callback if there are no parameters defined here. It's just a function call, then this runs before the connected callback. So it binds the data in a variable contacts. It creates a contacts object. Then this is being used to pass to the child component, and child has a property of naming contact. So this structure is basically same as the a function that we are passing a parameter. If the parameter is publicly exposed, then you can pass contact to your child component, and this child component, here it is receiving this when we have exposed it in the public, and it can use it in the further logic if you want to, like let's say I'm selecting this and this is just displaying the data in child component. What was the other track? I think we can look for track. Yes. Let me just get LWC that is being used on the UI. I can We can use this one. So this LWC is being used for a searchable combo box. There isn't any standard Lightning searchable combo box. There is Lightning combo box, but you can't search in it. Just click and select on it, like it's a pick list value. So there is a custom component, searchable combo box. In that, what we are doing, we are adding the options of that pick list value in a track variable. So in its let's say future, we want to add another pick list value. So that will be auto re-rendered. Let me just go to its HTML. uh, what is the variable options, and this options must be getting used in options. I think I have multiple. Yes, any option gets added in this will auto update and re-renders the variable, and return is the getter. I think yeah, this they are using it in the temp different variable. So it will auto re-render the actual HTML that is being used in the, so that's why it's called reactive. So the track variable don't have to like be used for the basic. I'm writing track, and then we have to, like, let's say I'm really test variable. So if this variable is a string, we don't have to use the track. any variable that is different from a contact, different from an object or an array is also is already by default reactive. You don't have to use the track. This is already reactive. Any change made in the test variable in further logic, the HTML will auto re-render that element. You just have to use the track variable, track decorator with any array or any other object you want to use. If you want to make them reactive, if you're using them in HTML to re-render. So I hope everyone have gotten the concept of API, track, and wire. So there are different approaches to use the wire method. You can also use the wire method as a property. Let me just show you wire as a property. What was the name? Apex wire method to property. Here is it. So in this method, just we are just getting the context, and we are using this wire method to create a simple property and use this property in the Apex to display the context in a loop. So that's the one use. Then we have wire as a function. So what this does, you call your method, then you have a option to create a function. Then you can easily manipulate your data, but this one is just assigning this to the data to the contact and checking what is the data. It's logging the contacts and checking in the console log to get the data, and it's also getting the errors from that property. So now this wire is running as a function. It's getting the data and it's giving you a function so that you can check if there is a data, then you can manipulate or play around according to your logic and also get the errors. So as you can see, there are no parameters being passed here. We can also check there that how can we pass some parameters. So let's say we are using a function find contacts. So there is a search key which is being I think there is coming from this one. Yes, this one. Let's say I'm writing test. As soon as I enter test, the data that we are getting, this is being searched, and the search key is being we getting from this one, this handle key change. As soon as this search key gets updated, the parameter reruns the wire component. So there is another annotation is the dollar sign. When you pass the any parameter key, any parameter with the value, you have to add this dollar sign to make the this parameter pass value is reactive. So any change happens in this search key variable, this while will rerun. So any change like that, so I was testing, I was just writing test. So uh, every character hit will call the wire again and reloads the data. That's why these contacts were getting updated and the UI were, there's the HTML was re-rendering. So this is how you can call wire as a function, as a with parameters, with as a property. So this all depends on your logic, how you want to call it. So you can also pass a getter here. That's not a necessary. You want to pass any variable, you can also pass a getter that gets updated with any variable is updated. So I think we have covered it mostly. Wire is complete. Public property. Yeah, I can quickly show you example. Let's use this one. Apex wire method with params. Apex wire method with params. This one. And then this one is exposed here. Let me just get you what we. Mm, dynamic. So I can show this one. So as you can see, we have a dynamic rendered list here, and we have some properties that are being publicly exposed. And this component is parent itself. So you must be wondering where these fields are being used. Because if you have a child component, it can expose its properties is public, and the parent component can easily pass these properties to the child, the values of these properties to the child. But you if you have a parent component and you have exposed your properties as a public, then you can easily use these properties to create target configs. You can add target configs here, and you can expose them on your relevant target. Like I'm adding it to the record page. Then we have four properties. You have to add the same name as your property name as a list of fields. As you can see, I'm here getting here the list of fields. Enter the list of fields, comma separated. Then we have object API name, then title, then the object name. What this does, it will create your component dynamic enough to be reused. So let's say I have a related list, I want to reuse it for any object. So I want to get the object name and the list of fields that will be displayed in the related list and the title of the related list and the object name. So this by using this you can easily configure your LWC, make it dynamic. You don't have to hard code anything in your HTML or even your JavaScript. There are predefined methods of getting the object name and the record name. If you use the @API and write record ID and just don't do anything else here, the LWC have a standard functionality that they will get the record ID of that page by default. So if your LWC is in a record page, you can easily get the record ID by using this functionality, just record ID. There are 3 to 4 default standard APIs that are publicly exposed in the LWC. You can look up it in the LWC documentation. There is one is the record ID. Then we have is I think is connected, which checks if the kind of LWC is inserted into the DOM. Then we have object API name. This will give you the object API name of the record page that you have inserted in your LWC. Let's say if I have a custom object, then we can easily drop this component to the custom object record page, and this will give us the record ID of that record page. Then it can also give us the object API name so that we can use it in the further logic. I think this is good so far. Any questions, Rimsha? I'm audible?
Yes, no, you're audible.
Yes, it's name.
I
I,
don't think there are any more questions, not in the chat as well.
mm, I think we have time. Anybody else? Any questions related to different topic or this topic or any previous topic? Or this is what this was clear? You want to like recap any area?
There was something from Prasanna, but I don't understand what she's trying to say. Some detail function manipulate data.
Send detail function.
That's
Send
why.
detail
She
function
mentioned this is clear
manipulate
now.
data.
Hmm.
Okay, that's good.
I think, all right, we are good then. Snake? Thank you for the
Hmm.
insightful presentation and for all the understanding and knowledge to share with all the Tailwind community. Um, okay, guys, I have already shared the recording for the session one. I will also be sharing the recording for this session. Um, yes, Ayat. Right,
Hi.
go on.
Yes, I have a question. If I use the light web component on a related list, I use record ID for get all the selected record as well, or
No, no. If you create a custom component for related list, the LWC, like you have exposed you have used at the rate API record ID, so it will only give you the record ID of that page. Let me just
the
show
detail
you.
based only?
Uh, let's say we have account. I'm going to account page. So if I have a component here, let's say this one. So
Yes.
if this LWC has a property of at the rate record ID at the rate API record ID, so this will only give me the record ID of that record. So only one ID
O-
of account ID, that is account ID. This
Okay.
ID, not the child components ID.
Okay. Thank.
I'm using this ID to get the related. Let me just back. I'm using this account ID to get the related whatever the object we are using here
Opportunity.
to get the related op opportunities that is actually attached to this. This is similar to the related list we see here. This is the standard related list.
If I already have مثلا a related list, I selected يعني light web component, I selected multi record. I use what track or wire to select them all.
I'm not understanding your question. Can you please repeat it?
I have a light web component that like retrieve all the accounts. Then I selected multi accounts from it. How I catch this accounts from track or API or wire.
So that depends on your logic, what kind of logic you want to use. You can easily like write a wire function to get the object, get the records of that object. Let's say I'm right here. We have a radius of opportunity. Let me just show you how this is working. So this is a custom component that I developed. This is called dynamic related list. It has an inline editing functionality. You don't have to click and pay pencil icon to edit this. So let's just click here and see what are the config that I have exposed. So there is the list of fields that I'm going to display here. Then we have the object API name, what object API name I'm going to be using here. So as according to your question, we can easily use, let's say I'm using a wire function to get the all the records of related records of that account. So let's say I'm using opportunity here, so I can define a function to let's say I'm naming the function as get data. That function will get the data of my related child, and in this case we have
Okay.
opportunities. We'll pass a reactive variable. Let's say we are passing record ID. So as soon as the LWC is inserted into the DOM, it will get the public property record ID according to the flow. It will get the record ID first, then the wire method will run. It will check if there are some related records. It all depends on your custom logic that you have written. It will get the fields and it will auto populate this opportunity. You- So
Okay.
that's how
Thank
you
you.
can easily get the data. Uh, if this is like confusing, that I'll already show you. Here we have a component dynamic array list and we have a record ID. We can easily write a wire function. Let's import the wire from LWC. Then we can write a wire function. Then you can add, let's say, get data, and you can pass the parameters.
Yes.
No, this is not the way. This one is correct. Then you can pass, let's say I am passing record ID, then I can easily pass the record ID this way. I think this is not identifying where this get data is coming from. You have to import it in your Apex.
Yes,
Then this
okay.
get will run. Then you can easily catch it. It is in a function
Okay,
called.
Sneh, I think she gets it. So
Okay,
Okay.
that's good. Thank you for the question. Uh, any question?
okay, so if nobody has any questions, Rimsha, can we wrap this up?
Sure, sure, Hassan. Yeah. So, Isne, thank you so much. And you can, I think, stop sharing your screen. We can take a screenshot
Okay.
for all the attendees. Yep. Yeah. Just give me a moment. Good. So, meanwhile, I'll also share the trails for the certification and for this session, decorators and lifecycle hooks. So, okay. So I think we are good. We can wrap this up. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Sneh, for joining and for the good presentation. Everyone.
Thank you so much. If anyone have any feedback, and you want to like discuss any topic, they want to like understand the topic in LWC, they can easily communicate that to Rimsha on community group. We can discuss and add the topic in the next sessions.
Exactly. Yes, that's a good. If there's any feedback as well, you guys can just DM me on LinkedIn or WhatsApp, and we will be
Mhm.
incorporating that.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sneh. Thank
everyone.
you, everyone, for joining.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.